Hello and welcome to This Week in Property. I'm your host Richard Swan and you can see me. Yes, that's correct, listener. If you are currently listening to the podcast through your podcast player of choice, let me tell you that this week's episode is another special edition video podcast. So if you go over to the website, thisweekinproperty.com, you'll be able to see the podcast rather than just listen to it. Now, why are we doing this? Remember, we did this not too long ago, just a couple of weeks back. I interviewed Paul McFadden from PMW, and we went up to his home in Gleneagles. We had a walk around the beautiful gardens and the estates and so on, and we spoke about mentors. I interviewed Paul about his experiences, the insights, the challenges, the hurdles, the results, the success, everything he found and has found working with mentors. Why should people do it? How does it actually work? What kind of relationship? How does the path flow? What should you be looking for, etc.? And I had a great time doing the podcast, had a brilliant time doing the interview, but more importantly, you guys and girls had a great time listening to it, watching it, because you reached out with fantastic numbers. The responses, it was just incredible. The comments, the feedback, really nice to hear, thank you. But more importantly, you had more questions. You got in touch and it was, Richard, Paul was speaking about this, but blah, blah, blah. You would have another question, what did Paul mean when he said such and such? Or when Paul was talking about that experience he had, how did he find this thing? And there were some fantastic questions. So what I did was I grouped together a lot of the questions. Some of them were very similar, and I would pick out one particular question that would be, the showcase for that thread of questioning, if you like. And I got a top 10 list of them, got in touch with Paul again and asked him to come on the show. So that's why we're doing another video one, because the first one was in a video format as well. And it was great. Just finished the interview. Paul was fantastic, totally open as ever, never held back. Some very personal answers involved when he went back in his time and his history, and it was great. There was a lot of great insights that you are going to get some great value from. I know you're going to enjoy listening to the answers that he's given to your questions, not my questions. Yes, I was interviewing him, but I was interviewing him with your questions. So there you go. That's the power of This Week in Property. If you reach out to me, if you tell me what you're looking for, tell me some of the guests you want to get me to interview, tell me some of the questions you want to dig into, we're here to serve you. So let's get on with the show. Let's do this round two, this Q&A, if you like, of working with mentors to find success in your property life, your business life, and just life in general. So without further ado, Mr. Paul McFadden. Paul, Mr. McFadden, welcome back to This Week in Property.
Thank you. Great.
Here he is, another special video edition as well, but this time we have not invaded your beautiful home with the media team from PMW. We've given you some space today, and we're just doing it over the lovely internet, but it's still great to have you and see you in person. And why have I dragged you back in? Have I not wasted enough of your time? This is ridiculous, Richard. Well, it's your own fault, because the video podcast we did, and you opened the doors to us. It was all about mentors, the power of mentors in your life, how you can use them to succeed and grow and develop. It went down a storm. It went down an absolute storm, and we've just been flooded with messages and questions and feedback and comments, and I started pulling all of them together, and there was some where there was maybe 3 or 4 themes that I could group in and use one question as an example, and there was still a whole list of them. So what I wanted to do, and I'm very delighted you gave us this time, is to pull you back in and answer those questions, run through the listeners' questions for you, and see what you think, see what you've got in there, see what resonates with you and what feeds off. So are you ready to run the gauntlet of the listeners' questions?
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of sitting here going, oh, I'm excited. What's these questions?
Oh, there's some crackers, I'll tell you. There's some absolute crackers. Now, apologies to anyone if I mispronounce your names, of course, when you're just dealing with emails and messages that have come through. Either most of them are directed to myself at connect2richard.com. Some of you came through. Remember, you can get in touch at mail@thisweekinproperty.com. So the first up who got in touch was Lisa Jacobs from Battersby. I'm not quite sure if that's Battersby down in London or Battersby another town, who knows. But anyway, Lisa, what did you have to say? Well, you wanted to talk about the Harv Eker stuff. So here's Lisa's question. I went to the MMI event, that's the Millionaire Mind Intensive, MMI event that Paul spoke about. It blew my mind and changed my life. I always wondered what I missed out on by not upgrading to the other things, the other events that Harv had, like Enlightened Warrior Training Camp or Train the Trainer. Could he, this is you, Paul, could he expand on how they helped him? So there you go. You spoke about this at the start of our wee interview and talking about mentors and one of the early kind of experiences you had. Harv Eker, down in London, MMI. But as you explained, you then took that and went way further, all sorts of different exotic places around the world and other courses. So Lisa wants to know, did you gain stuff from that, from going further?
Yeah, great question, Lisa. Harv and Millionaire Mind Intensive really did change my life at the time, because I say this and I joke about it, but it's true, I needed to be brainwashed. And Harv Eker and his team, for the 3 days, I'm sure it was 3 days at Millionaire Mind Intensive, it completely brainwashed me. It got me thinking differently. I seen a whole new potential of what was out there. And that was the Kickstarter for me. Now, I purposely went there with no credit card and no debit card. You know, I literally only had cash, you know, and by the way, I struggled to make that event. I had to, just do a little backstory, I had to borrow money, and I had to stay with my partner at the time, with her parents' aunt, and they went down there as well, and it was in Reading, and I had to borrow their car and drive the hour travel from Reading into the Excel Centre or the Exposition Centre where Harv was running events for the 3 days, and Harv's events go late, and then driving home, and then again having to go up super early. It was 3 full-on days, so I had no money, right? And then when Harv's going through all the stuff, I'm literally having all sorts of inner battles. I'm loving this. This is just amazing. I'm starting to get worried. Like, oh my God, there's so much to learn. This is a whole new world out there. And is this for me? Doubt starts kicking in, all of this kind of stuff. And then he talks about, you know, all these different courses. And at the end of it, he promoted the Quantum Leap package, which included the Train a Trainer, the Enlightened Warrior Training Camp, and a couple of other things as well. And it wasn't cheap. It was, I can't remember exactly, I think it was about £8,000. And you still had your flights and, you know, accommodation and all that kind of stuff as well. I think that was the right price back then. Now, I had no money. So I was phoning my partner back home saying, can you give me my direct debit details and my card details on my debit card? And she's like, I thought you weren't going to buy anything. Oh, no, it's just put a £500 deposit down. And at the same time as well, I had someone, because they wanted more than just that, I had someone at the event, an Asian fella, who to this day, I don't have his contact details. I lost his info. And he's probably thinking, that cheeky git for not paying me back. But he gave me a couple of £100 then at the event to be able to make some sort of commitment to at least show Success Resources, who operate all the Harv's events, I was committed to go on the Quantum Leap package. So my dilemma was, once I signed up, is to go away and come up with the money. And the first event was an event called Never Work Again. Great title. And that was in Singapore. And I had to come up with the whole quantum payment to get to that next event, which was only a couple of months away from when the MMI event was. So to get back, that was a little backstory behind it. And the reason I want to share that is because when you go for a mentor or when you enroll in something, depending on where you are in your journey, you 9 out of 10 times you don't have the money. Yeah. And one of the things I always talk about at our training programs is that, it's not about lack of resources, it's all about being resourceful. And it's good to have your back against the wall, not live there in the extremes, having your back against the wall every day. But in moments like this, when my back was against the wall, I had to come up with the money, I was forced to get resourceful. But if your back's not against the wall and you don't want it that bad, you'll let it by. You'll let it go past. I don't know if that's what happened with Lisa. It was like, sounds great, but I'm not going to take the step now. And that's fine, So for me, I needed to continue changing my mind. I knew that a 3-day event, when I came back, the motivation would drop and I would be back into my reality, surrounded with the same people that I was surrounded with prior to attending. And I seen that a lot of the things that I learned, I saw people try to hold me back. I saw people, saying, why are you going to these events? I couldn't tell people I'm going to an event called Never Work Again and Enlightened Warrior Training Camp. I couldn't. I just said I'm going to a business training. So I came back, I got resourceful, came up with the money, and then, at that time for me, the Warrior Camp, the trainer was a big one for me, mainly because it made me so uncomfortable, it was frightening. I had a very vivid, to this day, I still have this very vivid time when I can remember where my English teacher, part of my solo talk, basically, I couldn't talk. I was stuttering. I had my friend who was at the front of the room laughing. That was putting me off. He wasn't really laughing out loud, he was just sniggering, but I could see him. And the teacher says, go and sit down. And then she took me aside at the end and says, we'll need to do a one-on-one solo talk, but you're never going to be a speaker. I mean, what, can you imagine an English teacher doing that? Oh. I want to go out in a little, random outburst right now, but I'll leave it at that. All right. Cursing my English teacher, but it motivated me. But when I was at trainer, it gave me more confidence in myself. It stretched my comfort zone. It gave me the belief that I could be a speaker one day. Mm-hmm. So, likewise, Enlightened Warrior Training Camp, it gave me so much more inner belief. There's certain things to do there that are really experiential, and it allowed me to make some bigger decisions in my life when I came back, one of which splitting up with my 7-year partnership with my girlfriend at the time. Now, it was one of those ones where relationships were going like this, and we were just for the convenience being together, but through learning a lot about me, learning a lot about other people, and realizing that that the relationship I was doing, by continuing with it, I wasn't doing any good for her or for myself. So it gave me the ability to end that relationship as amicable as I could and move on in the chapter and be able to get over that loss. Because you think about it, it's someone you've been together for a long time, Yeah. So especially when I was still young, we were childhood sweetheart and all that kind of stuff. So yes, Alison, I recommend that. Yeah, I don't know if they still do these events. Harv's no longer involved.
That's right.
Although it's still Harv's trainings, it's been diluted somewhat. The Millionaire Mind Intensive are done by I don't want to say not the most reputable trainers. That's the wrong word to use, but it's just lost its impact from the Harv days. So, do I still recommend it? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it did give me everything I needed at that stage of my journey.
Yeah.
At my stage that I am, I think all of the Harv stuff, the Tony Robbins stuff, at least the introductory things, and similar speakers like those are great for people who are new to personal development, who are new to working on their mind, who are new to business and stuff. But one thing that might even get to talk about, I don't know what the rest of the questions are, is that depending where you are in your business, depending where you are in your personal development, you might need more specialist, more focused mentorship and training. And there's a lot more of that. Back in those days, there was less of this stuff that was available.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Was the travel part of it part of what you needed as well at the time? You know, getting right out of your whole geography, going to Malaysia, going to Singapore, you know, learning okay, this is Train the Trainer, you're now on my stage, we're going to be bombarding you with comfort zone stretches, etc. Is it the full thing? You mentioned the word experiential. Is that really what you needed? A complete paradigm shift?
Yeah, I mean, I the first trip I ever took to London was I was 19, and I went to a Chris Howard event.
Right.
And then my next trip to London was the Harvecker event. So, and it was so surreal when you walk out of Westminster, when you go and do the London, you know, London City, and you see Big Ben and the House of Parliament. I mean, it's weird when you walk through the tubes and you've got the, you know, the buskers playing the music. To me, it was just a whole, I mean, so experiential, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So my first ever holiday abroad was a school trip when I was 15 or 16 to Salou, which was very sheltered. We never got to do much. And then my first ever holiday abroad when I got a bit older was your usual traditional ones where you're kind of stuck to a resort type thing, so you don't really get to go out. So now I'm getting thrown in the deep end, being my lonesome, to go to Singapore, Malaysia, you know, London a few other times as well, where you're like, shit, okay, there's this form of a guide and stuff, but I'm exploring, I'm out in the big city. I mean, for me, it was the whole package. You know, sometimes I take for granted because we travel so much where it's just like second nature.
Yeah.
But back in the days, it was just such a big deal for me. So I was in awe with everything. I was a fish out of water with it all. And yes, that definitely added to the whole experience. I think in Enlightened Warrior Training Camp, you can't do that in the UK. You just can't. There's things you can't, you wouldn't even be allowed to do for health and safety, which you need to experience this kind of stuff. It takes the fire walk that Tony does.
Yes.
It takes it to a whole different level. I mean, that's nothing compared to the stuff. I'm not even going to tell you what, because for anybody who's thinking about it, they should go and experience it. It's just something else. It really is.
You know, there is a part
if they still do it.
There is a part of me that's at the moment quite grateful for the UK's crazy health and safety laws, because if they weren't there, my mind boggles about what you would do for the kind of property protege events that you run in the Platinum Inner Circle events. Yeah, my goodness.
Richard, me and Billy have been talking recently, and we're saying what the UK needs, especially in the property sense, but not just property, but the UK needs an experiential event like a warrior camp. So let's just say, who knows what's coming with that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll leave that there. One thing, one of the many things, but one thing I picked up on what you were talking about there is going back to that childhood thing, that quip, that pain, that discomfort from a teacher. You know, maybe they were tired, they were just fed up, and they're like, oh God, I've had enough. And then that statement, just, you'll never such and such, you'll never be a speaker, you'll never be able to speak, you'll never amount to anything, all these things, you know, we hear, and it is such an impact. You know, that whole childhood thing, the teacher who snaps, the parent who snaps and scolds a child without really thinking it, and that phrase just becomes that label, that identity, that self-limiting belief that we carry on. And then you mentioned that you said it yourself, I needed to be brainwashed, you know, and I think that may be where a lot of this mentor thing comes from that you speak about. Someone who's able to lift you out of that and say, listen, I know you've had that thing in your head about money, about success, about rich people, about believing in yourself, about doing such and such, and I can see that. I'm going to take you out of that and give you a different reality. I'm going to give you a different label, and give you a different belief about yourself. Is that, would you go along with that?
Yeah, I mean, I must be different from a lot of people because I was fueled by that kind of stuff. And that's not the only thing that I can remember that was definitely a trigger for me to say, I'm going to prove you wrong. There's many of those in my youth. Like, I'm not going to go into them all, but here's the thing, that the power of the tongue is so important.
Totally.
And with what the teacher did, it might have just been a simple throwaway. Someone else in that room, their recollection of it would have been, Paul, she just said, okay, you know, you're not going to be a great speaker, right? But my mind, it was, you're going to be an awful speaker, never going to get to speak. Now, she was quite forceful in what she said, right? But for me, it was like a proper impactful. Now, she probably just got on with the rest of her day, not even realising that. Now, the key here for anyone, and it's hard, by the way, it's hard, is when someone gives you that, what could be just a throwaway comment, is not to sink into your shell and let that be the label that you'll never. The key for me was, well, do you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go out and be a phenomenal speaker. By the way, I will be no TED Talk speaker. But I know.
Don't say that. Don't
but,
say that.
In the sense of very polished, you know, saying, you know, certain sentences, and I mean, I just talk. I'm full of energy. I'm full of passion. I'll slur some words. I'll say some of the wrong words. My dyslexia will kick in sometimes as well and make up words. So, from my point of view, you know, I just allow myself to be me. But it's been a journey, and a lot of personal development, a lot of mentorship has coached me and helped me throughout the time.
Yeah.
But for anyone listening here, from a mentoring point of view, this is not actually going to having a mentor, but let's try and let what people say to us not really affect us to restrict us, but give us that fuel. And it's not like, look, come back to the person, look what I've done now. You know, I've proven you wrong. Forget about that, because you never will. But it's just that sense in yourself to say, do you know what? I've done the thing you said I couldn't do. There's many times where people say, Paul, you're not going to become a millionaire. You're not going to go out and build a huge property portfolio. You're not going to buy one property. And that's fuel, you know?
No, that's a good point. Excellent. I'm just going to take a wee note here. Paul, TEDx, Glasgow and London. Excellent. Just a wee to-do list there. That's great.
Bring it on.
Okay, right. Lisa, thank you for your question. Who's up next? Let me see my wee list here. Campbell, Scotland. Campbell Watson from Edinburgh. Right. With so many voices out there, so many talking heads, and so many so-called internet experts, how on earth do we know which mentor to trust and which one is best for us? There we go. So, okay, you might have brought people on side about thinking about mentors. That's cool, right? Excellent. But now they've got this massive choice. How do they navigate their way through those waters?
Okay, so another great question, Campbell.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's specific to internet type experts or just as in you're online and you see these experts. So let me give you my take on it. There is a lot of people out there that you need to be aware of. There's a lot of people out there you probably shouldn't be training with or working with. There's a lot of people out there who have got phenomenal front-end marketing in the sense of drawing you in and don't fulfill in the back end. And that's why part of any of the programs that we do, I can't sell it enough up front, because the back end is just, our back end is so freaking solid. It's unbelievable. People think they're coming for this and they get that plus a whole lot more. So most people, because let's face it, in the coaching world, people think it's lucrative. It's far from it. If all we did was coaching, we'd be out of business. So thankfully we have our property businesses. You know, it's definitely a passion thing. We enjoy it. We love it. Because I've had so much coaching, been through the mentoring. This is why I have an affinity to want to do that giving back. And listen, it's fun. If it's all I could do for the rest of my life, it would be the coaching stuff for fulfillment. So a lot of people, because the coaching business, you know, it takes a lot to get people on the front ends to focus more on the front end and make it all look great. So what I suggest is that just follow the people who that you think would be great to work with, and see the stuff that they put out there. So the great thing about social media these days, most people have a Facebook account, Instagram, LinkedIn, potential other social media platforms. Just connect with them, follow them. It's good to be skeptical, but don't allow that skepticism to take you out from actually, pursuing mentorship or, sign up to some sort of coaching or training. And if you are skeptical, which is fine, just watch and see what they're putting out. And if you're seeing a sense of, I actually like what this guy or girl are talking about, I can resonate and connect with them. I always put my hand up and say, I might not be the right person for you.
Yep.
I'm one for saying, if you like what I talk about, you like the stuff that we put out, hence why we have the podcast, our social media channels are jacked, we put a lot of stuff out, we run free groups now and again, all of this kind of stuff, hence why the book going out. We want to put a lot out for free, and if you guys like what we put out, then you'll come and train with us. But that's because people have been following along, like the stuff that we're talking about. So follow these people, see what they've got to say. If they're talking sense, you're following their journey. And go in and look at some of the client testimonials as well, and see how their students are performing. Now, never judge yourself in, can I do that? I would look at testimonials in the sense of going, well, great, other people have done it, but never limit yourself to say, can I really? Well, if hundreds of other people are doing it, then of course you can. You just need to go in and follow the system and apply it. Don't maybe limit yourself thinking that I don't have the confidence, because you might not have the confidence in the early days, hence why you need, I never had the confidence, hence why I needed the Harv Eker trainings to give me that, to help me give that boost. So a lot of people, if you don't know what you don't know, and a specific person is talking about that I can go out and show you how to get this result, and it might be like, wow, can you actually? Then you might need to look at, how much is an investment? Is it an investment? Can I follow along the stuff that we're doing? And are you prepared to make that commitment and spend whatever it is, invest whatever it is to get the return that's there? Because there's no magic pills. There is no magic pills. You do need to take the first step. And I would like to think that the coaches out there, the mentors, those people that are in a trusted position, are doing things the right way. Yeah. Sure, there might be other things that are other trainers out there that are better than others. All education is good education. You don't know what you don't know. And you should never think that you're only going to ever have one mentor or one coach. Mm-hmm. You're going to have many throughout your journey, throughout your life. I've had many. So what I like to do is look at them, follow them along, see their story, see what they're sharing, kind of resonate with them. Do I like their message? Do they have the result that I want? If so, when I invest, I'm only focused on getting the result that I want. And once I get that, I'm happy. And if you get a whole bunch of other things thrown in that you weren't expecting, even better.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Right, let's move on. Jumping back over the border down to Reading. Lois, I think that pronunciation is Lois Copeland or Copland. I always enjoy a full and frank discussion with my business partner, John. We agree, we disagree, we argue, and we plan as a team. I've always thought about finding a mentor, but was never sure about the relationship. Is a mentor someone I should blindly follow, never question, and never disagree with? What kind of relationship with his mentors has Paul faced in the past? That's a cracking question, Lois. Yeah, so how does it work? Is it just this guru and they say jump, we say how high? Is there any kind of to and fro? How should it work in your mind?
That is a great question, Lois. Now, there's two parts to this. One, you have a business partner, John. Mm-hmm. And what I find because I've got business partners, and what I find, especially Billy, who we've been tight forever. And anytime we go to invest in mentorship, we have a conversation together. And I may throw someone into the mix, and Billy might be like, well, I don't know, is that the right fit for us? And that conversation back and forth, we'll decide whether it is or not. It doesn't mean both of us need to go and get mentorship from the same person, although we have. on a number of occasions. Some things we've individually went to different mentors. Just depends where our focus is, what we're doing, and ultimately we're all serving our business. So that's something to keep in mind. And it doesn't mean if Billy never liked a certain person, it doesn't mean I can't go and train with them and vice versa, because it's what can it all combined bring to the table. Again, remember, we're not looking just to work with one person. We're looking to work with multiple people throughout the course of our life. However, the more that I've had mentorship and coaching, the fewer people I work with now, and the longer I work with them, because it's ongoing result, ongoing support, and there's just that good connection, which we can maybe talk about. Now, the part which is key about the relationship with your mentor, and should you blindly follow them? So here's the thing. The relationship with your mentor, it's never going to be like best pals and best friends where you can just pick up the phone and chat anytime, all right? Keep that in mind. If you do have a mentor where you can just pick up the phone constantly and you're chatting to them, they'll just jump at your every message you send, that's a mentor that's got too much time in their hands and is not learning themselves, not taking themselves to the next level, and probably don't have a lot of clients. That could be good or bad. I don't know, So keep that in mind. However, so it's going to be a relationship where they will tell you things that you probably don't want to hear, but you should hear. They will hold you accountable depending on what it is that they offer, and that's part of the package in terms of accountability. When you say you're going to do something, you're going to apply something, that you're actually going to do it. And they will tell you things. It's like they will look you in the eye, if it's face-to-face, or they'll over the phone, they'll say to you, look, get your shit together. You've been saying the same story to me for the last X amount of weeks. Enough's enough. You need to go and do this and go and get it done. Or they'll turn around and say something to you that's so direct that you go, oh my God, that hurt. That hurt. And you need to go and take a moment and go, they're right. Because mentors that just pat you on the back and say, you're doing great, you're a champion, when you're not, you're a lazy
fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank. Then I'm sorry, they're doing you a disservice.
Yeah.
So,
and just to pick on what you were saying there as well, there's a reason it hurts. There's a reason you went, oh, there's something in there. And I spoke about this actually with my daughters not that long ago. If someone comes up to you and says, you've got 13 legs, what's your reaction going to be? What? It's just confusion. But if they say something that triggers something, oh, you told a lie or whatever, you stole that. If that pushes a wee button in there, there's something to it. It might not be completely accurate, but there's something there. There's a resonance there that's been picked up on, and a mentor can do that for you. They'll, as you said, look you right in the eye, they'll say a thing, and if you feel a reaction, there's a reason for it.
Yeah. And they are there to help. They want to help you, And for me, it's important that we give the clients the right advice, not just what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. The other thing here as well that we talked about with should we blindly follow their advice? Now, a lot of the stuff that we teach, especially in the property world, in the marketing world, social media world, business world, the whole mix is very unconventional. And we could tell you to go and approach it one way, and you will sit there and start doubting yourself. You start thinking, no, that can't be right. That does logically, because we always are trying to search to back something up with logic. Yeah. Sometimes it's just not going to work. In your mind it's not working, and it's like, no, you want to sometimes just say that can't work. That's not possible. It just how can that be the solution to the result? And in that case, you've got to have trust that you should follow their system and go with it. Now, if they say something, I've had mentors that have told us to do certain things and it doesn't work. As an example, it doesn't mean it doesn't work full stop. It's now an opportunity for you to go back and have a discussion with your mentor, because chances are you've missed a part or something's been left out, or you thought you executed whatever it was right, but you never.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you keep that open dialogue and you have that conversation, rather than going, oh, that doesn't work. Come on, that's not going to help anybody. The funny thing is your coach or your mentor is getting on with their life thinking you're getting on with it, doing great. And the chances are, if you just spoke to them, they can check and find that little, oh, you should have done this. And that makes the difference.
Yeah.
So having that open dialogue. And there is certain times where I've had certain advice given to me where I've just not taken it because it didn't feel right for me.
Right.
It wasn't in the case of I didn't believe that it would give me the results. I just thought, no, I'm not blindly going to just take that on board.
Right.
You know? To give you an example, maybe getting a bit too personal here. Those who know or have heard of Dan Pena, the $50 billion man, you love or hate the guy. There's no middle ground with him. You love or you hate him. All right. And some of his advice is borderline, how can I put it? It's basically you either go all in with it or you just don't at all. And certain things just didn't fit right. It just didn't fit right. And I wouldn't take anything away from my experience, which was amazing. What I got from it was so powerful. I love the whole thing. I think Pena is great, but there's certain things that I wasn't prepared. Nothing, he always says, as long as it's moral, ethical, and legal, then by all means. So it was all perfect. It wasn't telling us to do things that was none of that. It just didn't feel right for me. So you need to realize that within yourself is that you need to make sure that it fits with your perspective and how you're going to be doing things as well.
Interesting. Great stuff. Great stuff. You're doing well here. Tell you, putting you on the spot in the mastermind chair, but this is brilliant. Now, next up to challenge you. So Claire Lacey, I think it is, Northampton. What was the hardest challenge or step or period that Paul ever faced with any of his mentors? This might touch upon the Dan Pena thing you were just talking about, or does that trigger another memory for you? Hardest challenge.
Okay, so hardest challenge.
Period or step. He's left you a bit of wiggle room there to take it wherever you fancy.
With a mentor specifically. Okay, so, well, there's one that comes to play with Pena.
Right.
Is part of now Pena was on our board. He came on our board for almost a year until things changed when it made sense. We needed a more active chairman as such in that business. So he came off, but it didn't stop him kicking me off the monthly conference calls halfway through the year. So that you could turn around and say, well, that hurts. That's a challenge. That's annoying because that, believe it or not, the Castle Seminar, it was an experience for me. Did I learn stuff? Absolutely, but it was an experience I enjoyed. The real value for me was on the accountability and the monthly calls. But because I was so focused on a certain aspect and area of our business, he didn't feel that I was doing what he wanted me to do.
Right.
And because of that, he basically kicked me off the monthly calls.
Wow.
And at the time, I wanted to say, well, fuck you. Who are you to kick me off? Who do you think you're just Dan Pena? But then that's me assuming the victim's role. What's the victim? Blame, complain, or justify. And I thought, well, how can I be responsible here? And go, well, just because maybe because I'm not following his advice, and I was following his advice, but just in one particular part of the business, maybe he's trying to set an example to hopefully for me to go and prove him wrong, to then start focusing on that, and in a roundabout way, it just played out its course, and I'm happy the way it did. I also don't like or didn't like the person I kind of became after Pena. It's not good or bad. Just personally, I started to become more emotionless, or if that's the right word. So I lost the emotion of being a bit more sensitive to people and relationships and stuff. And I became a little bit more hard-shelled in a sense. And I didn't like how that made me feel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how that then stopped me having deeper connections with people, because Pena will let you believe that people are horrible. People are out there and listen, at the levels of doing hundreds of millions of pounds worth of deals, I dare say there's all sorts of sharks up there. It's a cutthroat world, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, our businesses, certain things that we do, where it is cutthroat, where there's a different game, a different game at a higher level when you're talking bigger numbers, especially bigger developments, especially, once you move up the level, you start to realise that.
Right.
And you almost become numb to a lot, in terms of you're expected for people to try and, cut in on your deal or do this and do that. So it almost desensitized how I felt with my emotions.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to start to reconnect,
Uh-huh.
and I found a nice balance. So I guess I'm sharing that just because I'm searching for a good way to answer the question.
That's fascinating, because it's almost as if he was trying to give you a particular skill set for dealing in a particular arena, but then you found that skill set was starting to bleed out into your entire life. You're like, well, wait a minute, I don't need that skill set here for this relationship with this family member or loved one or children or whatever. I don't need that skill set. That skill set there for dealing with a shark and a £500 million deal, that's not relevant here. And I don't like that it's drifting into other parts of my life. That's a fascinating experience.
As he talks about, is that, he doesn't teach you how to be a snowflake. He thinks everybody is a snowflake, right? And you need hardened up. He believes that you should have, what would you call that? National service. He believes that you should have national service back. He believes the whip should be back.
Yeah.
He's old school, old school. He says it himself. He says he was born in the wrong century. He wishes he was born where you do something wrong, you take your hand, and then if there's a second wrong, it's your head. That's his attitude. And he is trying to bring that into the 21st century, where I believe connection, being authentic, and listening to people is, especially in the coaching world and in the people world, I think it's so important. Maybe back in the day you could get away with that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get away with, his methods work, they clearly work. And then you look at one of his key students who's your mentor, Peter Sage, very different.
Totally.
He connects to you on the connection level, on the sincerity level, and it just shows you, it's chalk and cheese almost, even though Peter's been one of Dan's most successful students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fascinating. All these different characters in life. So what makes life so fascinating, of course.
And that jumps back to the question before. I think it was Campbell talking about who you look for or what. And there you go. It's searching, getting a feel out for people. And Dan Pena was on my radar for 2 years before I signed up for the Quantum Leap. And that's before he became in the public domain. He did not do social media.
Yeah.
I get referred to him years before that I did it, from someone who went through his program and said it changed his life. And it was like, well, this guy, he owns a castle in Scotland, and he was on my radar. And I looked at a lot of his stuff, I did a lot of stuff online. And then I took the jump thinking it was great. And then he just became this internet sensation, as this kind of bad boy, $50 billion man,
Brilliant. Right, let's move you on to the next person. Who have we got? Jonathan. It's not got the H in it, so it's not Jonathan. Jonathan Gulwain, I think it is. Prestatin. Right, question is, what have been some of the biggest paradigm shifts or reality shifts that mentors have managed to show, Paul? So this goes back a wee bit, the whole brainwashing thing. You're in one world in your reality and you're using a mentor to get out of that, to get something new. But, Jonathan wants to pick on that. What was the biggest transformation, the biggest, whoa, this is a completely different universe to me. What does that bring back to you?
Okay, let me try and explain mentorship or coaching from my perspective.
Right.
In the early days, when I was fresh to all of this, there was major paradigm shifts, like on a major level, to the point that I'm like, oh my God, how am I even going to comprehend all of this? There's so much in my life I need to change all at the once. It's just full on. But fast forward to now, there's less major paradigm shifts because you've experienced a lot of that. And now it's little subtle shifts that make the difference. And here's the key part. It just depends on where you are in your journey. At the early days, those big paradigm shifts will transform your life, and they will seem so impactful. And then when you start getting more specialized knowledge, it's less looking for the big, oh my God, my life is completely shifted. But it's more like, so if I just make this little subtle change. Here's the funny thing. My business mentors today, they don't give me paradigm shifts. It's sometimes they're coaching, and I pay tens of thousands of pounds for someone just to tell me something that I know. And it goes back to Harv Eker. You know, the words that you should never use is that I know that, because is it your results show that you know that. You know, why is the golfer Tiger Woods? I don't know who's winning the Open just now, but let's say Tiger Woods, right? You know, what can a caddy teach him about golf? You know, it's really what the little subtle changes. Who can read Tiger as if he's my pal? Who can read Tiger when he's on the course, and his feelings and how he's performing, and try and get in his head to coach him a wee bit. There's just subtle little things that make the difference. And that doesn't give you massive paradigm shifts, but they do in the early days when it's new information. And I always say this is, you don't know what you don't know. Hence why when you get more specialist knowledge, you're getting in for a result basis in terms of giving that knowledge for a result, the result you can go and apply, and then have these people where you've almost got a mastermind group. Now, your mastermind group could be friends. It could be people who you catch up with on the phone every now and again. It could be mentors. It could be part of a mentorship group where there's other students in there who are all at certain levels or higher levels that hold you accountable. Hence why we've got a platinum group where, I mean, every week we had a platinum call last night, and the results the guys are doing is just astronomical. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And it's holding everybody accountable. And last night, you were on the call, Richard, talking about, oh, they're doing this here, and I've been watching it, and I need to do this. It lifts the group. There's power in that little, group. And it's not like everyone's getting paradigm shifts. They're just getting subtle shifts that do, over the long term, make big differences. So big paradigm shifts, absolutely, all of it at the beginning. It gets less so the more that you do this and the more you progress in your journey. Now you're just looking for the little subtle shifts, the little changes that make a big difference.
Fantastic. That is great stuff. Well done, sir. Right, next one. Evan McElwain, I think is the right way to say this, Stonehaven. So his question is a mentor for everyone? Oh, here's a question. Okay. Paul has spoken before on the podcast about property being full of different people doing different things. Certainly very true. Are there certain people who should not seek out a mentor? There you go.
Oh, okay. So apologies. Who was that?
Evan.
Evan. Okay.
EVAN. I'm thinking that's Evan.
Okay. Yep. That's a great question. So, is mentorship for everyone? Let's deal with that first and foremost. Well, it's definitely for those who want to succeed in life, who want to improve their life, who want to become a better version of themselves. Am I saying it's the only way? No. I know people who will say, I've never had a mentor. Yet when you ask where they learned that, where they learned this, well, the mentorship was books. The mentorship was, speaking to other people. It was to talk to people who are further down their journey. And my mind is that it's good to work in synergy with a little group like I spoke about, mastermind group.
Yep.
It's good to work with an individual who you respect, who is further down the path that you want to journey, because they can help you fast track your progress. The people who mentorship is definitely not for as victims, and unfortunately, no one will ever label themselves a victim to know that they're a victim. But a clue to that is are you blaming? complaining and justifying. You know, are you trying to justify why you never got the result? Are you blaming someone else or something else? You know, are you complaining all the time about the lack of your results and where you're at? Because sometimes you just need to listen, apply, and learn, and then don't take responsibility. And that's the biggest impactful thing, whether you're going to get the most out of a mentorship, a training program, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I bought something, I'll give you an example. I bought a Spanish course, you know, because my wife being from Costa Rica, fluent in Spanish, and I hate that I can get by, but I hate that I can't have a deeper conversation with her family. You know, that bugs me. That's why I've made a major commitment that when I go back to Costa Rica at the end of the year, I'm going back fluent, not just to get by, but fluent. But I bought this program on an impulse. And it was basically very basic level. It wasn't what I needed, and it cost a couple £100, right? Nothing major. But I could have instantly. I started feeling here's me. It's talking about the victim. Instantly, I'm starting to going, oh, this program, it didn't do what I was doing. And then I went, oh, wait a wee minute, Paul. Listen, you know this stuff. You know, you're assuming the victim there. Get a grip. And you could turn around and go, okay, responsibility. Could you have dug into the program a little bit? Could you have looked at some of the client testimonials? Could you have even looked at to make sure that the thing you're buying and read, which I did, it was actually for beginners, for a bare minimum level entry. It's back. I'm like, oh my God, if I just read the thing without blindly purchasing. So then I felt good that I took responsibility. And I actually bought another course with the same provider, but it was at my level.
Right.
So again, the alternative is I could have been moaning, complaining, bad-mouthing that company, and not even realising that the course that was my level is actually really good. Mm-hmm. So when you take responsibility, it's great. So unfortunately, most people won't put their hand up and say, I'm the victim. Victims should definitely not get mentorship, because all they're looking for is they get rich quick. What they're looking for is, I don't really want to do the effort. I really don't want to do the hard work. I don't want to put the time in. I just want you to give me a magic pill that by the end of the coaching and the training, I get the result. Well, here it is, my friends. I have yet to find. I don't know anyone. I don't know a single soul living who's got this pill that will allow you to get rich quick or get the solution that you want. It takes hard frickin' work. Yeah. And if you don't like hard freaking work with coaching and support along with it, then mentorship's definitely not for you. That's for sure.
There you go. Some clear, plain talk from the man. Okay. Next up we have Tariq, I'm going to suggest. Tariq Kalmain. Again, apologies if it's wrong. Tariq, that's in Luton. So his question is, when Paul was speaking about levels and progress and plateaus, how do you know when you've used a particular mentor enough and you might need to actually change and scale up to a different mentor? So you've touched upon it, the fact that it's not just one person, you know, you're going to be working with different ones. So Tariq's question is, well, how do I know if I start that process and I've had these, you know, you spoke about it, massive paradigm shifts, Harv Eker's training, whoa, my world's completely upside down. How do you know, okay, now I need to go to this, how I need to go to this, and now I need to get this person? How do you know?
I think the number one, there's two things that I look for when I've served my time with a coach or a mentor. And I never sever my ties in the sense of just cutting the person out at all, because what you need to realise is that good coaches and good mentors are always learning themselves, always improving, and you want to keep those strong relationships. You always want to keep relationships with your mentors, because you never know when you'll need them again in the future. And it's a bit more difficult when you do a cut to get back and win their affection again. Not like you need their affection, but listen, to work with them again, you just never know. You know, good mentors and coaches are making some moves in the background. But two things I look for. One is if the mentor or coach is no longer progressing themselves, if they have plateaued. So I look for, as my coach, my mentor, you know, are they continuing to improve themselves, self-improvement? Now, there is certain people that I've got business coaches who are in their 50s and 60s who are time served, who are retired, who have got a wealth of knowledge in business and property developments and stuff, who don't want to go and get mentors. They've got no interest. However, that's when number 2 kicks in, is that when you surpass them.
Ah,
So
right,
when you
okay.
surpass your mentor, does that mean that you turn and go, I've surpassed you, I don't need any more mentoring? Well, depending on what it is, like take developments as an example. Developments is such a wide range. When I talk about developments, for those is like big, larger scale developments. Maybe it's 10 units, 100 units, 150 units, 1,000 units. It could be multiple different types of commercial, residential, lots of different things. Every land development has different challenges and problems and issues. So there's a lots that you can still learn from time-served people that are so further down the path, who have built these sites with their eyes shut, that you can always learn from. But if it's a specific type of thing, one thing that you've went to a mentor for, let's say marketing or whatever, a specific thing in marketing, because marketing is a big field, but one specific thing, and that mentor's expert in that as an example, once you surpass their results, there's nothing more that you can learn from that, because there is certain topics and certain things that you just get, you've got, and that's it, you know? I mean, I'll give an example. We got mentorship, Billy and I, a number of years ago, on how to use LinkedIn the right way. And very quickly, we surpassed that person, not only from, I mean, we are the number 1 best students in the sense of results, but we so surpassed, and with a social media platform always changing, now we're in the know, now we're seeing it, and then now Billy has put together, you know, the LinkedIn Inferno program, which is absolutely phenomenal for people who want to dominate on that platform, that with our coaching, we're always in the cutting edge. We're always looking to be ahead. We're always staying ahead of the changes that happen. And if a mentor or coach is doing that, then you can be rest assured that you're working with the right person who's staying ahead of the game, who's bringing you the right knowledge, the little hacks, the little adjustments. But if they're still working on old software, Microsoft 2.1 or something like that, you know? I'm talking as if I know what I'm talking about, right? When it comes to software systems, you know, the software system will still work for some people that never had 2.1. But when you're trying to operate on 3.0, hopefully you get that analogy.
Oh, fantastic. That was brilliant. And for any of the listeners, viewers, kind of following along and listening to Paul talking about the LinkedIn stuff, if you go to linkedinferno.com, Billy's got a great webinar there that can teach you a lot of the stuff for free, actually, just by listening in. So if that's something you want to specialise in, there's a mentor waiting there for some marketing. There you go. Now, next question up for Paul. We have Lucy. Lucy Canavan, I'm going to say it, Shawlands. Is it only business or property that Paul has used mentors, or has he used them in wider areas of his life? Aha, okay, Paul. So you've got a lot of strings to your bow. You're in business, you've got property, investments, but you're married, you're a parent, you've got this, that, and the other. You're a big life, holistically speaking. Have you sought out, do you think, mentors in other areas of your life as well?
Okay, so here's my experience in life as a whole. If you want to be the best at whatever you do, and if you're living life, right, why wouldn't you want to, why would you just be average? Why would you just do the bare minimum? You don't, now the fact that you guys are listening to this, you're not bare minimum people, you're not average people, I can tell you that for sure. But why it just puzzles me why anyone would do life half-assed. So I'm the type of person that can't do something. Like I live in Glen Eagles. You got to be a golfer. And the reason why I won't do golf is because I need to be, if I was going to go and do golf, which I might still do, right? If I was going to go and do golf, I would need to get a golf coach. I would need to commit to doing hours of coaching. And I'm not talking about just in the driving range and perfecting my swing and my stance. I'm talking about on the course. I'm talking about having to go around with me. I would need to, because I would only want to play golf at high, I don't mean high level to be playing a but a level that I can get around and hold myself well. And I understand that I'm going to be awful at the beginning, but until I'm ready to make the commitment to go all out, I'm just not going to do it. So in my life, for everything that I've done, it's not all about I want to be the best. I want to be the best version of me. Half-assing this gets half-assed results. Half-assed results is going to make you broke or poor from a financial point of view. You're going out of business if you're just doing half-assed results because there's someone else around the corner working harder, who's committed and more motivated and pushing, who are not striving for average but are striving for excellence. Forget trying to be good. Good gets you good results. Forget trying to be great. Great gets you great results. But there's someone out there that's working for excellent, if not outstanding. So my take is, how can I be the best me? So, get back to mentorship. My wife and I, we've just got a tennis coach. So we're taking up tennis lessons. Now I'd like to say I'm very good at badminton. So tennis is a different sport. It's still a racket sport, but I want to be excellent at tennis. Not to be a pro, but to at least have a good game. All right? So we're taking on a tennis coach. Alexa and I, we've invested in parenting courses. And again, it makes a big difference. I've invested in Spanish lessons, getting the right coaching, not just that one program I spoke about, but other things as well, and a Spanish speaker. Especially when I've got my wife here and her mum that's here just now visiting, I still want to be working with other people who are helping me. Alexa's fluent in English, although she's got an English teacher as well to make sure her grammar and her pronunciation and stuff. So we invest all the time. From business, I mean, there's different areas that have different business coaches. In property, the coaches I have at the moment now are more those who have done multiple larger developments, who have created hedge funds and funds, because I'm working on building up, a PMW Capital Invest, which is our own fund as well. So I'm working with people that have done hundreds of millions of pounds worth of fundraising and working with those type of people. And again, from being a better husband and a better partner, I have a coach and mentor in that world as well. Again, when it comes to going to the gym, I'm the one that always put my hand up and say, I know that. I know how to go and have a workout properly because I've had personal trainers in the past. But it doesn't mean that I don't it doesn't mean I don't need them now. I still do. So in every area of my life that I want to excel at, I hunt down a coach. Even, listen, for my hobby. Now, Richard, you might not even know this, but one of my guilty pleasures in my hobbies is photography, as well as creating videos. Mm-hmm. And that's why Richard, I love when you have a family out and all that stuff, and you put together your video, I'm sitting watching it, it's great. I love that. And I would love to have more hobby time when you're trying to build an empire and take over the world. Your hobbies can be challenging. But with those in mind, I have got photography classes, photography books. I've got a photographer that on occasions when I get the chance I go out with and help me take better pictures and all this kind of stuff, just for when I'm out with the family and things, I can look at things from a different perspective. So I have mentors in all areas of my life where I want to excel.
Right. Fantastic. That is excellent stuff. Right. A wee tricky one for me. I'm going to say Maurice rather than Morris. The reason I do that is because the surname is Lestro. So Maurice Lestro from Manchester. Does Paul have any regrets about working with a particular mentor, or following a certain bit of advice, or being led in a particular path along the way? Kind of ties in with the whole challenging question as well, but I don't know, it might take you on a different perspective. Anything there that jumps out for you? Any regrets is the word?
Yeah, so there's definitely a bit of a connection there with what I shared with one of the other questions there.
Yeah.
But regrets, now, here's the thing. Now, I do have some regrets, but it's not like I get caught up and beat myself up that I don't have, that because you should never regret. Life is a journey. You learn from experiences. Have I had mentors? I don't think I've had a mentor. I don't think I've invested in anything. Let's forget mentor coaching. I'm talking about online programs, books, you name it. There's nothing that I haven't invested my hard-earned cash. And hard-earned cash in the early days was £10 in a book, right? I don't think there's any of those investments that I've made that I could ever regret. I don't think you can regret education and knowledge, because here's the thing. There's courses, there's mentors I've invested in, and it's not been cheap. I'm talking about tens of thousands of pounds that I've invested in someone, and I just got one subtle shift and change that we can apply to our business that made the investment, maybe not overnight, because nothing's overnight, but over a longer period of time, months or years, that's made all of the difference. And my regret would be that I never looked at the other stuff that we're doing and implied. Maybe again, I'm always about responsibility. So I look and go, was I a poor student? Could I have dialed into their weekly calls more often? Could I have shown up more? Rather than just taking one thing. But sometimes I just want the one thing and I'm away to apply it and get on with it. So I don't have any regrets, because honestly, I've had, even if it, and sometimes the return is not monetary. Sometimes the return is what being in a room, because I've been in rooms where the coach, I'm sitting there thinking, I didn't get anything that I didn't already know, but being in the room, there was power, joint venture partners, business partners, money being made, listening to something that was said. I mean, I remember one of our mentors, again, significant six-figure investment between Billy and I, and he's not the only person we made that significant investment with. But it was a big investment where you would think, oh my God, that's a big investment. And we were sitting in the room, it was a power room, and we were working on a strategy that was working very well for us. And I shared it in the room. And before you know it, for one full day of the 3 days that we were there, it was Billy and I educating the room. And that mentor went away and applied that strategy and did over 7 figures. 7 figures. Now, he gave us an acknowledgement. He thanked us for it and all that kind of stuff. And again, it just shows you being in the room. We were the ones that was educating, but there's been times when it's the other way around, where I'm listening to a student in the room going, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I always look for the little golden nuggets. No longer am I looking for major, profound moments. I'm going like it's just another day to educate, learn, and soak in, and go and apply. Mm-hmm. So it's very different. So I don't have any regrets. Mm-hmm. Here's one to flip it around. There's so many people out there that don't want mentorship, that don't want coaching, that won't invest in themselves. And I know that is such a limiting belief that's holding them back, because I wouldn't be the person I am today without coaching, without mentorships. I have invested easily over £500,000 in my education in the last 12-13 years. And I mean, if you're talking about investment and getting return, it blows it out the water, So, and I became a better person. Not the finished article, hence why I'm always growing, always investing, always picking up stuff,
Brilliant stuff. Oh, you beauty! You've made it. I've got one left. Fantastic. Oh, you've been digging into the weeds here, I'll tell you. Right, Ross Brierson from Stoke. You mentioned the new book about getting a jump start into property. What will that give me? Will it have everything I need to get started, or is it just one part of the puzzle? Sorry about that, Ross. Yeah, Paul, so we touched upon this when I was up at your house and we're chatting away. You get the new book coming out in the autumn, Your Property Jumpstart. So Ross's question there, what's it going to give him? Is it the thing that lets him jump into the world of property, or is it just one particular piece and he needs other things? How does that work?
Your Property Jumpstart, our heart and soul has been put into that book. All of us, myself, Billy, Richard, the team, and I can't wait till you guys have got it in your hands. Honestly, this has been a project, that's the right word, because I want this to be the most comprehensive property guide, if you want to put it, that's on the marketplace. And we've researched it. And we always over deliver. There's just no question. No one can ever fault us for not over delivering. We always over deliver, and we will over deliver in this book. You'll have a step-by-step system. You'll have a lot of knowledge, but what you need to understand and realize is, in fact, There's not one part of the jigsaw. The whole puzzle's there, and it's all put in pieces, and it's laid out for you. You just need to apply it. The two things. With the book getting out there, should you take the book and not go and get coaching and mentorship ongoing? Well, of course you don't have to, but remember, just like I've got coaches in the development world who have built multiple different developments, when you're looking at single units, buy to flips, buy to lets, packaging deals, service accommodation, HMOs, rent to rent, delayed completions, options, new build developments, commercial residentials, lots of strategies. I've kept it focused in the book for you to go out there and do two of the most important things that you need before you can go and focus heavily on any strategy. To create cash flow, and two, to give you a roadmap, to give you the confidence and belief in yourself that you can actually go out there and do this. Now, I also think that you do and should invest in the ongoing support, the coaching and all that kind of stuff, whether it's with us or whether it's with someone else, because when you're in the thick of a deal, you can use the book as a reference point, but you don't have the real-time coaching and support.
Yeah.
Where it's deal specific. So from that point of view, I always think coaching and support and working with someone's very important. I don't think you were doubting that. Sorry, I forget the guy's name. Apologies. Ross.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. I don't believe he was saying that he wouldn't look at that.
No.
But the book is definitely going to be phenomenal. I can't wait till you guys have got it. You'll love it.
Fantastic. And stay tuned on that front, of course, listeners and viewers. We'll definitely keep you in the loop on that one. It'll be spread about the internet world very widely, but we'll be discussing it on This Week in Property as well. And who knows, Paul, I might drag you in yet again. There you go, there's a warning. Keep your calendar free. Once that book's out, I might pull you back in. I know you've got loads of things lined up with it. You've got various appointments and stuff you need to run with. You'll be across the different radio stations. There's magazines trying to interview you about it all. I realise that you're going to be very, very busy, but don't forget about us on This Week in Property. We'll drag you back in and you can tell us what it's all about with the Whirlwind Tour and how it's all going and how you feel at the launch date and all that kind of stuff. But for now, for today, for coming back on, for helping the viewers, the listeners with that follow-up of working with mentors, thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you. That was awesome. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Hi folks, it's Richard here again. I really hope that you enjoyed today's show. Now listen, I've got 2 links to help support you on your property journey, and I want you to write these down when it's safe to do so. You might be driving in your car just now listening to the podcast, and that's fine, but please make sure that you get back to this and write down these links. Okay, are you ready? Got your pen in hand? So the first one, thisweekinproperty.com. Now that's the website for this podcast. On there, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out. What you can also do on there is catch up on tons and tons of past episodes. There are hours and hours of property related content and some amazing guests with some fantastic insights to help you on your property journey. So that is thisweekinproperty.com. Okay, next link, propertyprotege.com. Now let me spell that one out for you. PROPERTYPROTEGE. That's propertyprotege.com. Now what's it all about? Well, the Property Protege Intensive is designed to give you the lift that you need into the world of property. And if you've already started, if you've already got some experience, then this can help you accelerate your progress even further. The experiences that people have had at Protege and the success that they've achieved afterwards has been life-changing for many people. So go there right now if you're serious about property and if you want to build a highly successful property business. That's propertyprotege.com. So there you go. That's 2 links to some fantastic resources that are going to help you. And listen, talking about help, can you help me to help other people? You see, the more that we can share this podcast, then more people can learn from the fantastic guests that I've been so lucky to talk to. How can you help? Well, it's very simple and very quick. just a short review on iTunes is going to help make that happen. If you go to thisweekinproperty.com/iTunes, that will guide you to the very place that you will be able to help other people. So thank you. Thanks for doing that, and thanks for listening into the show. And I look forward to bringing another great guest to you in the next show.